Uh-oh. Did you know we're live?
Uh-oh. Are we?
We are live. I hit the button, and there we are. That's easy. See how easy that was?
Wow. Wow.
You're not really amazed. Although, it's kind of funny. I hope... Did I already update this? I think the stream has been updated. So, you're here
Yes,
or
I am.
not. Jemiah's here
Hello. I'm
or not.
Jamya. Maybe.
Are you here?
Am I? Who knows?
It's like, what do they say in the subatomic world that you don't actually... nothing exists unless you see it?
Right. So, now that you see me, I may or may not be here.
So, I have a boat to work on. I'm going to resurrect this old, really old boat. And I've got some cool parts we're going to put in it and do a few things. I won't finish it today on the stream, but I will finish it on video because it deserves some recognition. We got the old boat here. We're going to talk about astrology because it's kind of a neat subject and it fits perfectly into hobby philosophizing, the name of this little segment.
Right.
And Jemiah actually, she's not new to us, but she's new to you kind of. Well, you were in a short video.
Yes, I was.
We had a helicopter buzzing you.
Yeah, I was tormented by a helicopter.
Yep, where we were being mean that day. I'm going to cue up the maestro.
Okay.
Play a little jazz, I guess. There we go. Got a little music playing. Easy peasy. And then, I guess if the audio's bad, the CEO will let us know. But yeah, so hobby philosophizing on astrology. You and I were talking the other day, quite a while.
We were talking. I got into your astrology chart a little bit.
Yeah.
I read a couple things.
You did. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. I had fun.
Now I feel like she knows everything about me.
Oh, I don't know about that. I didn't get that in depth.
I wonder, can you know everything about somebody through astrology? I don't know. We may not find out today. But I think you and I had talked about maybe doing like the ins and outs, maybe, or a little bit why you're passionate about it. Because it's kind of one of your hobbies or passions, I guess we'll call it, maybe.
Right.
Maybe a self-parroting sort of thing a little bit.
Self-parroting.
Parody, what self-parent means?
Oh, self-parenting.
Yeah, not parrot. I guess it almost sounded like I said parrot. No, parrot, like your mom or dad. They're kind of, you've seen how they've grown up, and then you've observed their personalities, and then maybe you kind of wonder what shapes those personalities, and there's probably many, many things.
Right.
But, astrology, I feel like, has talked about in a way that has some negative components to it. I think we talk about those first. Let's get the old gross stuff out of the way.
Sure.
That way we can end on a high.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So what are some things that you heard negative, we'll call it tropes, about astrology? What do you think those are? What are some of those that you hear?
Negative tropes of astrology.
Like people say, oh, you're just self-absorbed or something. I've heard that before.
Right.
Oh, it's just vague, general stuff. What are some of the big things you think?
I've definitely heard that before. That it's too vague to be accurate, or that it's just a bunch of
hooey.
A bunch of hippie mumbo jumbo. Yeah.
What's wrong with hippies?
Hey, nothing. I love hippies over here.
Here I am with my tie-dye shirt on. Y'all probably think I'm a hippie.
You're not.
I don't know what I am. A hippie, to me, is kind of a nonconformist. That sort of basically takes the social norms and says, you know what, screw your social norms and I'll up you a level.
I guess I'm hippie too then.
So, I think a lot of us can relate to that, especially on Twitch, right? There's a bunch of video game people on here.
Right.
And they don't care. They don't care that you mock them for playing a video game.
They do what they love.
Exactly. And that's, I think, part of it is doing what you love. And if you think, astrology is something that can help you, with anything, you do it with caution.
Right.
Understand yourself what is it Freud had said, used to say all the time? The best psychologist is yourself, or psychiatrist. I don't know.
Something like that.
Don't listen to me. Listen to your counselor. But you get the idea. Listen to that internal counselor if it's mature enough.
Right.
So, astrology. You did a chart, and we were talking a little bit about it.
Right. We got the basics down. I just named your big three: your sun, your moon, your ascendant.
Okay. So, I guess there's like, how many different things are there? Like when they look at like your birth date and where you, and I didn't realize this. So I didn't realize it was also the location.
Right. Yeah. That's actually how they find your ascendant. That's your rising sign.
Okay.
They base it off where you are. That kind of adds a little more depth to it. It makes it more than just like more than just, a simple horoscope.
Okay, based on just what you would consider. So, like, let's go back for a second. Your horoscope is based on what sign? What do they call that? Is it like the moon, or and they're like these different?
They base it off your sun sign. So your sun sign is usually like your basic. The sign you'll find out what you are.
So based on your birthday, they call that the sun sign.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, gotcha.
Exactly.
So on your birthday, they base it off a sun sign, and so then you're like, okay, so you're a
Virgo.
She's a Virgo. All right, and I'm a Scorpio. And I thought that was funny when you said that at one time those used to be joined together, and then I saw the symbol. It looked like basically Scorpio lost a part of itself on the symbol, which I thought was kind of funny looking.
Yeah.
When you see the Virgo sign and the Scorpio sign, they look very similar.
They do look very similar.
I know a lot of Virgos for some reason.
Yeah, and they say
that's something else that we can talk about here. So we talked a little bit about some of the negatives. So what are some commonalities you think you see in your navigating of astrology? What have you seen like on a regular basis?
Well, I've seen on I've noticed that, like, for example, Scorpios and Virgos always end up together somehow, some way or another.
Like Sarah, she's got like 3 or 4 friends that are all Virgos.
Right.
And then those Virgos all know Scorpios.
Right. And my mom happens to
be
a Scorpio.
Yeah.
And you're a Scorpio.
And there you go. Right.
So,
we don't know if it means anything yet, but we're going to find out.
We will. Right. What's another common thing? Aside from like my own experience as a Virgo, just being like that, what do you call it? That common overthinking type of stuff.
Overthinking, yeah. So there's some memes, right?
Right. You've actually sent me one on my birthday.
Yeah, the meme of a Virgo, right?
Yeah.
I know it because I live with one, so I know some of these things.
All the archetypes.
Yeah, the archetype, yeah. And it's funny. So I got into an argument with good old OpenAI about astrology. Mainly just because, I wanted to talk to the old chatbot, like, hey, give me some misconceptions and stuff, and we talked a little bit about it. And I kind of just wanted to see, I guess, what, people writing this stuff might say, or the information it's pulling it from, right? So it was kind of fascinating because I got into an argument with it about gravity.
Right.
Which I thought was kind of funny. We'll get into that in a minute. But we were talking about the archetypes and how I don't think the archetypes are vague. I feel like astrology gets a bad rap.
Right.
Because there's some people out there that sort of propagandize things, probably for fame and notoriety or ego.
Right.
And then the ego gets the better of them because maybe they get a little famous, or who knows, maybe some celebrity uses this person. And look, I can't speak for those people
Mhm.
at all. However, I feel like they get a bad rap because I think we should treat it like the X-Files. There's just some shit you just don't know out in the universe.
Yeah.
And I asked this question to open chat. I said, do you think gravity affects animals on this planet? And it said absolutely, and gave me a whole laundry list of why it affects animals on the planet. And then I asked it, what about astrology? And then that's when it kind of did some gleep glurp of trying to rationalize it, and it got stuck in a loop.
Mm-hmm.
So, can you tell me what first got you interested in astrology?
Well,
what's up, geek? Oh, what's up, man? How are you? We got Jamya on here.
What's up?
So what got you interested in astrology?
I would say just like finding the synchronicities in day-to-day life from like what a basic horoscope would tell me.
Okay.
I started getting really into it around middle school.
Okay. Was that just on your own? Did somebody introduce you to it, or?
Well, I didn't find out until after I was just like super excited about it. I ran and told my dad about how accurate my horoscope was that day, and he happened to have an astrology book.
Okay.
And I didn't even know he was into astrology, but after that day we went down like a rabbit hole of, you know,
just sheer stuff, huh?
Yeah, just a lot of, I guess, a lot of self-reflection.
I can
learning how to understand yourself better.
I can see that because you know, when you read like the little traits they call it, you do a lot of internal reflecting.
You do,
and you're just like, does that apply? Does that apply? Does that apply? You know, and then you're like, you know, I don't know if they do or not, and you're just trying to like evaluate it, right? You're trying to understand yourself and then see if these, you know, personality traits actually exist in you. Or like, you know, sometimes what is said is, you know, maybe you take on. So
I'm a Virgo.
Yeah, and I'm a Scorpio.
But
yeah.
I guess as we go on,
we're kind of progress.
We're more than just one sign.
Yeah, so in middle school, you said you got sort of started in that, and then you said your dad was into it.
Yeah, and he gave me this book on astrology, and I learned that like there's more than just like a sun sign. There's like a whole you embody the whole solar system.
Right. The solar system they're saying that it shapes you based on the gravitational pull, which is like I got into an argument with OpenAI about it. Just because I wanted to see, and it's so weird I'm wearing the tie-dye shirt today, and I probably look like, you know, y'all probably think I got some screws loose, not just besides the ones that are in the boat, right? You know, so who knows?
You're not the only one. I'm rocking like a crystal.
I know that I one of these days we're gonna talk about that thing because it is freaking awesome looking.
Thank you.
Anyway, so all right, you got into it, and then you did a lot of self-reflecting. And then what happened?
Then I guess I just expanded from learning about myself to like learning about other people.
Okay.
I started with like, how does this planet represent me, or like what are the energies of these certain planets have to do with me?
Okay.
From there I went to learning more about maybe my parents, because you know you need a lot of information before you can just go into like studying other people.
Sure.
Other people's astrology charts and things like that. So,
okay.
I started with family. Found even more synchronicities there. Found a lot of like generational similarities.
Okay, can we expand on that a little bit? You said generational, like you think that was like based on the same signs, and
sort of like the way each sign aspected to each other, it was very similar in most of my family members' signs. I mean, family members' astrology charts, if that makes sense. For example, I have a Capricorn moon. That means, you know, if you've met a Capricorn before, you know they're not the best with like expressing emotions. The moon represents expressing your emotions, so that those two energies kind of clash, and that's something I saw in a lot of my family members' astrology charts.
Okay.
So from that, I picked up we have like a little generational thing we have to deal with there. But that's what I mean by, generational synchronicities.
Okay. So, have you used it like for steering or navigating your life at all?
After the fact, I haven't gotten there yet. To keep the story short, but usually after something happens, I'll look back at like the astrology forecast of that day and go like, oh wow, that's why things were the way they were.
Okay. So you're saying that how can you give me a gauge on how easy that was? Like, was it like, oh, aha, or like, well, maybe you'd had to do some digging around, or I'm trying to understand like what sort of shaped you a little bit to kind of go, yeah, this makes a lot of sense, or no, this doesn't make any sense.
Well, at first I needed a couple of books to help me navigate, of course, but
Okay.
After a while I was able to like pick up, what's that?
It's a prop for this boat.
Nice.
So, I don't know if y'all can see this. This is really old plastic. We've got something. We're going to do these brass, or no, these are copper beryllium.
Nice.
It's going, so this boat is getting like major upgrades.
Okay.
Like,
so brass is better than...
well, technically it's copper. It looks like brass. They do make brass props, but, and then there's a left and a right prop because they spin. Okay. So I'm just, it's kind of like spark plugs. You got to do one at a time. Do you have any book recommendations for astrology?
Not really, because it's different for everyone.
Well, is there like, because I've
leaned on websites more than anything.
You know what I would do is find somebody maybe that's passionate about your specific sun sign.
Right.
Or your birth sign. Oh, hey, maybe Desmo can come up with one. Maybe do some research, Desmo, since you're a moderator. Do your job.
I can recommend you an astrology website I usually use for like day-to-day stuff.
What is it?
It's called AstroSeek.
AstroSeek.
Yes, astroseek.org. You should Google it. I don't know if it's like .com, .org, but that's one of my main recommendations.
So moon phases, can you elaborate on that?
I don't want to lie and say like I don't want to be wrong, but like moon phases can kind of like it has like I guess it makes the energy of the moon more powerful, but in my interpretation of things, it doesn't really have much to do with astrology in total. Like say we just had a new moon in Virgo, and what made that so powerful, they say that was a powerful energy for that day because the moon was completely, void, and because of that, I'm sorry, I'm going blank. Well, you've
had a long week. Yeah. Because her birthday was just a few days ago, and she was talking about she was doing a fast before her birthday, so she may have roasted some brain molecules.
I might have lost a couple brain cells, but I'm getting them back. I had my first hefty meal yesterday.
Good.
It was great. It's the best meal I had in my whole life.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine.
But they say the energy of the moon is more powerful during full and what is the opposite of full?
It's hidden? No. Fasting is great, yes.
It definitely is. Thank you.
Yeah.
They say you have more energy. I mean, that gives you more energy, I guess.
Well, it makes the cells way more resilient.
Right.
And then your metabolism doesn't technically crater. It just becomes more efficient.
Okay, that makes sense.
So therefore, because since you gave your metabolism a rest, like your pancreas mostly, I think I was talking about this like from an insulin perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your pancreas like was never designed to produce insulin like that on a regular basis, given our current state of food that's available on a regular basis. So anyway, we were talking about that. So there's a huge benefits. And I love it. I'm glad.
I enjoyed it too.
I'm glad you did it. I know it was a tough thing.
But I'd definitely do it again.
Well, good.
Yeah.
You might just try intermediate.
Intermediate, yeah.
Best selling on Amazon. Oh.
Yeah, I guess you could do that, but
you can do our codes there, babe. I'm just joking. You don't have to do that. Yeah, so the moon, obviously we know the moon can affect like a lot of craziness.
Now,
human
design is a little bit of like a mixture of stuff, right?
Yeah.
I haven't gone too much into it. I would love to, but I know it's got a lot to do with astrology and even like the chakra systems, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that's a new pseudoscience they got that just dropped. I think that's really recent.
We'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
Sarah's gonna dig up some top Amazon reads. That's a good idea. So, all right. So you got interested in it, and then you did a little. I guess, well, middle school wasn't that long ago, even though you're just fresh out of college.
Yeah.
But in that amount of time, have you seen it grow, or is it more like sort of an up and down kind of thing?
I think it's sort of up and down because while I was learning it in middle school, nobody cared. Got really big while I was in college, and then right now I think people are starting to get sick of it because it's becoming generalized and memed. So like people aren't taking it seriously anymore.
So you think it's becoming like a social sort of joke, I guess, maybe a little bit?
A little bit, yeah. Because I don't know if anyone's seen them before, but right now the horoscopes have gone from being like, here's sort of what you might encounter today. Maybe watch out for this certain thing.
You think it's gotten like too generalized, maybe?
Yeah, pretty much. Instead of regular horoscopes, you get stuff like, oh, here's what kind of cocktail your sign is going to be today. That's kind of how it is right now. But
man, that ain't right.
I know.
That's just terrible.
Yeah, but
I'm sorry. I was just like, it sounds horrible. This this one here is tight. I have to drill it out.
What do you mean?
So this one.
Oh, it's too small.
Yeah, the shaft's hole, whatever you want to call it. It's too small. I don't know.
I'm excited to see it in action. I wish we had like a little kiddie pool.
We need a boat.
something.
We need a tub,
Oh,
a
we
bathtub. We could do bathtub astrology.
I feel like that exists. Does that exist?
That would be funny. That would be a funny thing. I wish I was that brave to do stuff like that.
Yeah, that takes a lot of vulnerability.
Yeah, I mean, we have bathing suits on, but still, it's like, that'd be hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bathtub astrology. So what is your... Oh, wait, did you just fart? Sorry, I'm getting off topic. There is no safe or unsafe topic here. So, now, sorry, I'm being silly. So with astrology, I keep wanting to say astronomy every now and then because I love astronomy as well. All right, so let's go back to the synchronicities.
Okay.
What Do you have any examples that stuck out in your head about a synchronicity that you were just like sold you? Like kind of sealed the faith, we'll call it, in what you were understanding.
Well, there's a recent one that's happening right now.
Yeah.
So they say every society kind of falls when it hits its Pluto return. That's when Pluto moves back into where it once was.
Okay.
When you were born. That's like the return of. That's usually how it works. But
Okay.
So they're saying the U.S. might be falling as a society because Pluto has returned back into Capricorn. That's where it was when the U.S. was first. That's when the Declaration of Independence was signed. So.
Okay.
They're saying maybe society might be kind of why things are the way they are right now.
I like to think it's just because lack of compassion.
That too, yeah.
I mean, understanding other people has become just non-existent. And I've used this example before. It's you're driving down the road and people don't have compassion for the other people that are on the road, and they're racing to a red light every single day, right?
Right.
You've seen them.
It happened.
You know who you are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, probably, on your way here, people are trying to go home from work. They're just like mad at the world,
Yeah. A lot of individual.
Say y'all be careful.
Right. A lot of maybe too much individuality, I think.
Well, it's I feel like it's a little bit of what did she say?
I said there used to be a website called Bathtub Astrologer, but it didn't exist
It's
anymore.
no longer active. Maybe
Yeah.
we can buy the URL. No, you're not feeling it?
I'd have to at least keep the idea open.
Well, it's a work in progress. How about that? So yeah, all right. So you're saying with the society as we see it right now, you're saying that it feels like
it might be a reflection of Pluto being, of America being in its Pluto return.
Try not to make a lot of noise out here. He's like, getting louder. Sorry. Okay, because of Pluto. All right, I got it. Well, I mean, why is Pluto such a mean dude?
Well, it's not that Pluto's mean. It's just kind of like one of those.
It's an observation.
No, it's like kind of like the sign of obscurity, I believe.
Okay.
So, usually, Capricorns aren't about that type of shit. They're very like, this is how things are supposed to be.
I like that. I ain't all about that.
Well, I'm sure there's like of course there's a playful side to them, but
Yeah.
Thought we were gone.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, good.
so it's not really like Pluto likes to be in that type of position, right?
Okay.
So I'm thinking like, even just because it's in that sort of sign, it's gonna leave for some chaos, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, it does.
So, but
Is that so? I need marine grease for this. So, all right, I'm thinking. I'm formulating a thought here.
well,
What, you got something you want to pull up?
yeah, I want to make sure that right.
Look, and we're not professionals.
Right, yeah, I'm definitely, I'm not like an astrology teacher or anything. I'm still learning.
You didn't-
And it's been since middle school. I have
Right.
not. It's one of those things you'll never be done learning about it. It's like
Sure.
You'll always learn something new about it just by making observations or just by living life.
Yeah, living life. Yeah, I mean, That would be pretty good.
Yeah.
You just gotta live.
Right. And what I mean by that is like even just by observing your own life, you in astrology they have these things called perfection years where every year deals with a different house
Okay.
in your astrology chart.
Okay.
For instance, I just turned 24,
Right.
and that's like the first house perfection year. The first house deals with you. It's who you are, how you grew up, childhood,
Right.
memories, things like that. Your appearance. That's where your ascendant is always going to be. That's what starts off the rest of the astrology chart is where your ascendant is. So this year's going to be all about me, how I show up in things, how I appear to the world.
Okay.
And
You think it's like a transitional thing?
yeah, definitely.
Like you're coming out of a cocoon?
Sort of, because the 12th house perfection year before this one was sort of like I was in a cocoon, so to speak. I was in isolation. That's the house of isolation, spirituality, death and rebirth,
Right.
in a spiritual sense.
Okay.
So I was sort of in a cocoon for a whole year. Yeah.
And was that recently?
Yeah, pretty much for the last for all of the whole time I've been 23.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For 23. All right. So did you see it like starting to come out? Like when did you notice a change?
Almost like right the day before when we were talking on the phone for about an hour. So that's something I would never do. I don't like to talk that much. So it surprised me that we were on.
It's probably my fault. Everybody blames me.
No,
I'm long-winded.
You are, but I surprised myself because I would have been like, okay, I'm tired of talking.
I'm outta here.
You know, but
This is boring.
I had a little bit more energy. I was more willing to be out, to show myself, to be perceived.
Okay.
You know.
I get it. No, yeah, I like it. You know, because you're trying to, well, like in your instance, you know, you graduated college and then you're trying to do some stuff, and then he's the one that helped us do the cartoon. If you're ever on the old YouTubes, we have a cartoon we've been working on, so she animated it.
Yep.
And made us look good. So, you know, obviously we met on that accord, kind of like, you know, building this hopefully together. And then we started talking about astrology and it kind of how it intertwined with our sort of hobby philosophizing. And then, you know, we're just kind of talking a little bit about it, and like, you know, when she pulled my information, it kind of like, you know, give you a lay of the land. Like, what was the node? You were talking about that. What is that?
The node is sort of like
Is that like your North Star? No. What is that?
What is the North Star?
What is the North Star?
I mean,
North Star is technically 3 stars. That's another topic for another day.
I would. You did say you liked astronomy. I would love to hear that. But I guess in a way it sort of is. It's kind of like what's gonna take you to your life's purpose, or how you can get there, or how you can achieve it.
Okay.
So
You said your life's purpose.
Sort of. I don't want to give it that much power, but like there's probably a softer word for it.
That's pretty strong. My purpose.
What else can I call it?
But I like it.
Yeah, I mean,
okay. This is that part where you go, okay, how much of it's vague, how much of it's real. You said something that stuck out to me about my, it sounds weird, my node, whatever. That's what it's called, right?
That's the word. Yeah, I do agree. It does sound a little weird. These are like old terms. These terms haven't been changed since like Greek mythology.
Right. Yeah. So so let's go on for that for a second. So well, I want to come back to that because, all right. So you said a node. It was kind of like purpose, and you said something that sort of resonated with me. You said something about mine.
Where is your North Node again?
I don't know.
It might be in Scorpio. You have a lot of Scorpio placements.
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
But you were saying something about like something have to do with death and did you say Pluto?
No, but Pluto is the sign for Scorpio. I mean, the planet for Scorpio.
But you said something about like death
and
and
rebirth.
rebirth.
So maybe it is in. I think your North Node is in Scorpio because that's like.
Is that because of Pluto? You said something like that. I don't remember what it was because remember we're not professional.
Right.
and you can go to do more reading on your own. We're just opening the door for you not to be uncomfortable and exploring stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the big thing that I want people, because it's like one day we did painting here. I've never painted in my life, and I had a family full of painters.
Wow.
So I was like, why not? We decided to do painting. So my point is I want people that come here when they're visiting to honestly just be comfortable in their own skin, talk about what they want to talk about, and then we can talk about astrology and not feel like we're being mocked or because we're just trying to have a general, if you're at a bar having a conversation about life, are you going to get in somebody's face and tell them they're stupid about astrology? Come on, man. I've seen the memes making fun of it, and it's kind of it's a little disheartening because the people that like in your perspective, when you're taking it and you're kind of like doing the self-reflecting and you're kind of navigating this boat called life, and it's bouncing in the waves all the time. Having that ability, I think, like you said, to like you see these personality components and you're like, okay, so maybe that's helpful in making sense or rationale of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because, we haven't had this conversation before, but Sarah and I, we talk about this all the time, is that when we get mad about something we see out, we'll say in public. We go through this logic process of dissecting it because you're mad because your brain is going, that's not logical. Mm-hmm. That's not logical. Why is that person doing that? Why are they acting like an idiot? Why is this person gross? You follow me, right? You get mad or frustrated. Instead of just accepting that, okay, that person sucks, and then moving on, you're trying to process it. And I feel like if you have things that can help you with those mechanisms like that, like astrology can be a good tool for that.
Definitely.
Because you can go, oh, well, they're just a Virgo.
Right. Or, Mercury's in retrograde. I'm sure you guys have heard that before.
What does that mean?
Well, a retrograding planet is a planet that's at a standstill. So, Mercury, for example, every other month or so will stop orbiting and just sit still in one place, and it'll look like it's going backwards. Retrograding.
Really?
So, yeah. Usually during a retrograde period, in a Mercury retrograde period specifically, technology might not work. Communication is very complicated. It's very hard to...
You're saying things break down?
Things break down. Yes, pretty much. Mercury is actually the planet of communication, so usually where people see problems is just in speaking with other people.
Okay.
So, Mercury, it just ended. We're in like a shadow period where like there might be like some little specks of it here and there that you might notice.
Right.
I forgot when it started, but it ended like I think last week. The end of last week. I don't know if you've noticed. Maybe you might have had some car trouble this month or something.
Yeah.
They could say
my battery went kapooey.
Yeah, so I mean, you could say Mercury might have been in retrograde
right.
that day. It could have fucked
Who knows,
up the car.
man? Who knows?
But
okay, so sometimes it can just maybe it's something that you use to go, hey, this moment in time sucked. So it's time for me to move on.
Right. Or
And-
how can I learn from this?
Right.
Right.
I like it. I like it. All right. So, what do you think would be a good, like, starting point for somebody that wanted to learn, like, a little bit more about this? Like, not just besides the books. And they're like some, you talk about doing a chart.
Mm-hmm.
So you could do a chart, and then I guess it gets into kind of a lot of details.
Right. Astroseek, that website I mentioned earlier, you
Okay.
can put all your information in there. Not all of it. I mean, it's not going to ask for like your social security number or anything. Just like your birth date,
Right.
birth time, the location of your birth, whatever hospital.
So if you know
you're at.
those, like at least what town, right?
Right. Or city or state, country, whatever. It'll like generate your chart and send you like a little vague explanation of everything. From
Okay.
like what sign is in what planet to how things aspect each other. Because even like planets within your chart have something to do with each other. Like if you have like if one planet conjuncts another, those two energies work together to create a whole new energy that
can change.
can change,
I guess a lot. I guess is what you're saying.
and have an
Okay.
impact on your life. I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, no, that's good. Perfect. What else? Anything else you think? What is like, if you were to summarize it, like, how often do you use astrology? You think? Is it daily, weekly, monthly? When you remember it?
I guess when I remember it, but that's usually daily. You know, even like I have this program on my phone that'll tell me like, you know, what sign the moon is in at the moment,
Oh, okay.
or something like that. You know, like they have
Nice.
planetary hours where each hour like has its own respective planet. So usually I use that to like decipher or figure out what time is the best time to do something based off of like the planetary energies. So
you think it's still like a good tool
definitely
for if you're trying to like navigate daily stuff?
right. I mean, I'm not saying it'll predict the future or anything, but
Right. Okay. Kind of just knowing when, I guess, is a good time to, I guess, maybe start a project.
when it might be
or-
convenient to do it, yeah.
Yeah.
Or when like
I can see that.
it might plan out best for you or work in your favor.
Nice.
Right.
I'm sure there's, a million things that can be said or done with it. What they are is kind of, I think, the determining factor for, well, for you to kind of figure out. I think it's a fascinating subject. I think it's really cool because I've looked at it several times. I don't know, me personally, I don't know how to incorporate it in my daily life. There are some things that I think are very cool when it talks about personality traits, like you said, the archetypes.
Right.
What about you?
Hi.
Did you have something?
Well, I pulled your chart,
Oh, yeah?
and I emailed it to ourselves.
Okay.
I know if maybe that would be like a good exercise to just kind of like.
You wanna
talk
do that?
through
I'd
this.
be open to it.
Okay.
It might be easier. Pulled it into a PDF. Might be easier to just pull up the website. And
What email?
Send it to Cosmic Gmail.
Okay.
I don't know if it chopped it up weird.
I'll just download it, and then that way, I'll pull it up, and then we can kind of, use it as a reference. That's not a bad idea. That's why we do all this. Oh yeah, downloads. Forgot what folder it should be in. And what we have to do is make it sort of like this. And then we go back here. Everybody's going, what are they doing? And then we go cut, and then you go window capture, and I think it's that one. Yeah. And then what we'll do, we'll have you on the screen talking about it.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna pull down the desk camera and then hit cut. Okay, so this is my chart, right?
Right.
And I'm gonna move it just a little bit. Like, you'll see here in 1 second. I know it looks crazy. You're like, what are you doing? Window capture. It's like kind of weird, like how to make it look like normal. There we go. All right, so what we're gonna do is let you kind of look at it here. Can you see it okay? And then when you do this, it does it on the screen too.
Okay.
Okay, and then so I'm gonna...
I want to zoom in if that's okay.
Yeah, see what it does. Yeah, because it's gonna change it here.
Then you can just.
Mm-hmm. This isn't touchscreen, is it?
No.
No, it is not.
Well, no, just scroll out.
What's that? I know, but it's also, I'm looking at the what's on the monitor at the same time.
Oh, I know. Now you can make it thinner again.
Yeah.
Keep me forward on you more.
Is that good?
Mm-hmm.
That gives you the basics, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
There you go.
So you
Now
see
that
where
we're
I'm
here
at.
forever, yeah.
Right.
All right, so this is my chart. It says a bunch of stuff about me. Now that everybody knows now everybody knows all my personalities.
Yep, they've got you. They can read you like a book now.
Okay.
So you see what I meant by like all of these Scorpio placements right now.
Yeah, the Scorpio placements. I'm all in Scorpio.
Yeah, you're
Oh, I see that. It's kind of like all grouped together very nicely.
right.
I feel like I'm very organized.
Well, I mean, for the most part, well,
Sorry.
the planet, I mean, the sign of organization. Can it see my
Yeah, I kind of see. Yeah, I kind of
Okay.
can. Yeah.
So the sign of organization, Virgo, is kind of empty, which would
Oh,
sort of
so you're
imply-
saying, like, okay.
No, I'm just, you can still have like.
Well, see, that's why I have Virgos in my life.
Right, and maybe that's why Scorpios and Virgos always kind of they
Maybe.
balance each other out.
Maybe.
Yeah. You've got what we would call a stellium in these three signs right here.
Okay.
You've got. Let's just focus on the Scorpio stuff since there's a lot of that.
Okay.
Scorpios are usually like they're like the feminine side of Mars. Not to say that you're like feminine, but like I guess this sign is less action orientated, like
Okay.
Aries would be. Aries is like the other sign that Mars is associated with.
Okay.
You're more on like the planning side of war.
You said planning side of war?
Yeah, oh, sorry. Mars is the sign of war, action.
Okay.
You know, yeah, I probably should have said that
That
first.
was funny. I was just sitting here thinking, I was like, what?
You're very strategic by what I can see right here.
Okay.
And we were talking about your North Node earlier.
Oh, yeah, the North Node. I just think that's a funny word.
I guess it's more like less of a life purpose and more of like what you were meant to embody in this lifetime.
Okay.
And I think you might have it pretty much all together since you can't really help but be Scorpio in many aspects of your life.
Okay, I got you. So you're saying I'm screwed, is what you're
You're
saying?
not screwed. Scorpio's a great sign to have. It's like it's the sign of death and rebirth. Like I mentioned earlier, you guys are the phoenixes of the constellation groups.
Okay.
So
It makes me sound like I'm really cool.
yeah, I mean, I think Scorpios are really cool.
I
My
mean-
mom's a Scorpio. I'm just big up with Scorpios because of I might have a bias there, but
Right.
Well,
Well, I mean, we want to be cool, just like everybody, but
Right.
I guess being cool and wanting to be cool are two different things. I've heard.
so we've heard. Let's see. So as I mentioned earlier, you're probably... Oh, you are cool. I think everyone's cool.
Ah, Geek, you're cool, man.
You're
What are
so
you talking
cool.
about?
What was I saying?
You were talking about how cool Geek was.
You were meant to have, based off of this Scorpio placement right here, I would say you're meant to have a lot of death and rebirth experiences.
So this is where it stuck out to me, because you said that, and I have been not just in hobbies, but in life experiences regarding, like, we'll call it trade, like things that I like to do.
Mm-hmm.
I have been a consumer, like a glutton of experiences when it comes to like those types of things, right? Like what you're talking about. And I say that because, you know, it's just first of all, there's so many dope things that are out there, you know, that I think are cool. Well, it's kind of like this, and doing the channel, you know, I don't want it to just be a singular thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough, but, you know, because we have a hobby shop, so a lot of it seems sort of very toy oriented. But not just a dude that plays with old boats, you know, or whatever. And we like to think. So I can appreciate that statement when you said that, because I felt like, you know, I was like, oh wow, like you're saying that my node is telling me I've done a whole bunch of like death and rebirth. And yeah, I can see that. I can personally agree with that.
Wow, it being at 2 degrees would kind of like represent this, the second degree represents Taurus.
Okay.
Which is your opposite sign. That has like a lot to do with money and business. So it's kind of crazy that you mentioned the trade aspect of your life.
I wish there was more money there.
Yeah, I mean, well,
you know, but it's
according to your, or what were you gonna say?
I'm just what I was gonna say is I'm not like, you know, I'm not upset, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
You know, we don't really, you know, make anything here right now because we're just trying to put it back into business and grow and everything else. But, you know, it'd still be nice.
It would be.
Anyway, sorry, go ahead. You were saying something about money.
According to your South Node, that's sort of like what you might have been doing in your past life, your previous life before this one.
Okay.
Because it's in Taurus, I'm thinking you might have been a business guy, a pretty well-off business dude. Who might have been, you might have been an artist. I mean, Taurus is, the planet Venus is like Taurus's respective planet. So, you might have been a very well-off artist or something. Or, you might have made a lot of money in stocks. Who knows? Usually Taurus is dealing with money. I would say you probably did have a lot last life.
Maybe that's why I don't have any now.
Yeah, because usually your North Node is there to like teach you what your Taurus South Node couldn't your last life. So the stuff you missed out on.
I mean, if that's the case, I just have to accept that it is what it is. And you know, look, I'm actually okay with that because I have said this before. I don't want to own anything. You know what I mean? Like when I talk about the shop and stuff like that, and the store, and like, you know, even doing this, right? I want like people to be passionate about the stuff, and then we just kind of build a, you know, I use the term co-op, which again sounds hippie, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Well, what else does this thing say about me?
You've got Saturn in Leo. Saturn is sort of the sign of fatherly discipline, stuff like that. I guess that's the best way to say it.
Okay.
The Saturn represents father time. It represents discipline.
Right.
Did I say discipline already?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's just what dads do. I don't
Yeah.
know. I was gonna kind of what else do we want to go over on this?
I mean, that's about it.
Is that
but
about
that's-
it? Okay.
Sure.
No, I just want to make sure. So there I am.
There you are.
I am a Scorpio.
Through and through. With a little bit of...
You said something about Gemini the other day.
You have a Gemini rising, which kind of a lot to
That's the outward
wait a minute.
personality trait, I guess.
Oh,
is
hold
what
on. Now that I'm looking at the chart, it says your ascendant's in what is this? Sagittarius.
Okay.
So that's like
Maybe one chart to another could be different. Has that ever happened?
No, I mean like if
No,
you
it
put
just
the
is
same,
what it is.
If you
Okay.
put the same information in, it shouldn't change.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I don't know.
Yeah,
This is all new to me. Except for, you kind of like, your birth sign. Like,
Right.
oh, yeah.
The general.
Yeah.
What they always say.
Well, it's funny because while you're looking at that, I was going to mention, the chat GPT was talking about how that, astrology uses like, well, Pisces. I've heard that, what was it, Tom Hanks, is he a Pisces?
I'm not sure.
And his wife is a Scorpio. I've heard that they're like, those are considered like natural, like in a relationship.
They're
very
like compatible.
Very compatible.
Right.
Yeah, I've heard that. Autocorrect. Yeah.
I mean,
You're in pieces. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make.
I mean, I could see that working. I think water signs always end up.
Is that what it is? A water sign type
Yeah,
of thing?
because they can, they're very intuitive, so they can feel off of each other's emotions.
Sure.
They'll be able to understand each other, and they'll be able to express how they feel without anyone getting like too overwhelmed, I guess.
Right.
So I could see it working.
Well, yeah. I guess that's March, right? Your birthday's in March. If you're a Pisces.
If you're a Pisces, in March or February.
End of February, I
Yeah.
guess.
Beginning of
When's
March.
your birthday? Pete? Just
March 4th. Ooh, I think that would make you a Pisces, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Because my granddad was a Pisces, and I think he was March 17th.
Mm-hmm. August 17th. So she is
Leo.
She's almost a Virgo.
Almost a Virgo.
Yeah.
Definitely a Leo.
She's on the cusp, I think.
Is she strong-willed? Like,
Is she flamboyant?
or flamboyant? I don't know. I don't know that many women that are Leos.
You don't?
Uh-uh.
Yeah, I guess I've only really met Leo men.
It's quiet and shy. Okay. Look, we don't know.
She must have
I'm guessing.
She must
I
have.
don't know anything
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen her chart
until
but
she opens up.
Until she opens up, right? Then that Leo energy comes out.
And we're talking about it because I think it's good to know like the personality precursors potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's 3 P's there. You see what I did?
The 3 P's.
The 3 P's, the personality precursor potential, or something like that. Whatever. You get the idea.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like because if you know these things, you kind of know what you're getting yourself into a little bit, and you can kind of calibrate yourself.
Right.
And that's that compassion component where, I used to not be that way. I would just be like, I have to calibrate myself to nobody. And I just, like, I know, the funny thing is because, like, you're right about stuff.
Yeah.
And I say that. I probably was a lot, and I was probably wasn't right a lot. Vice versa.
Wow. I wonder what made him think you were a Pisces.
I don't know. You know, they
Probably
make they do those memes where it's like they oh, you must be a so and so, you must be a so and so. They're like, no, 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 you know, and it's just kind of like, I get it, but you know what?
Well,
I have met people that are around my birthday, and you just know, you know, like, I don't know what it is, and we are few and far between. But it like around my birthday, it's like, you know, you would think. I guess that would be a lot of November birthdays based on February. I know Valentine's Day, but
right.
you know, based on how that timeline works out. But I read somewhere it said that like there's not as, you know, I don't know if this is accurate or not, but it was talking about births in the month of November, and I don't know if it's on the low side or average side or high side. I don't remember, but I thought it was on the lower side. And I thought that struck me as odd because of like February. Right. So, and I was like, well, okay. But my main point is having somebody with like the same birthday, it just like, you kind of just, it's like weird. It's like sometimes there's like, I feel like there's an energy there. I have experienced. I don't know about anybody else. But you're just like, oh, that's dope. Because I haven't met that many people. Like my best friend in middle school, we were 2 days apart.
Wow. That's crazy that you say that.
My son is 3 days from my birthday. And he's a Scorpio too, because he was born on a leap year.
Oh, yeah.
So that made him a Scorpio because of the leap year.
Wait, what would you have been before, Libra?
He was the 22nd.
22nd, okay.
So whatever that is that a Sagittarius?
The 22nd of November?
Yeah. What is after Scorpio? I don't know.
Sagittarius.
Yeah, he would have been Sagittarius, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought that was kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
But yeah, he ended up being a Scorpio, and you know, we're similar on so many levels and different on so many levels. Which, you know, I don't think that your birthday is going to automatically make you 100% identical to somebody else. But
right, because based off of location and even the time could change everything.
Well, and then I think it goes back to that, you know, environmental shaping as well, like obviously family and stuff like that. But those core traits that they kind of talk about in like when you were doing the chart, I found that fascinating because it's not as broad as you think. And I say that because, like, the death and rebirth thing, there's a lot of people I know for a fact that don't experience that.
Right.
Some people figure it out real early on in life and they just kind of keep cruising, and some people, you know, that are like me and they just kind of, you know, keep, like, I don't want to say reinventing, but they keep searching for what is meaningful to them. And then, you know, to your point, talking about the Taurus thing, early on in my early careers, all I did was chase money. Because, you know, I grew up poor and like a little tiny house and no insulation. I don't want to get into a sob story, but it sucked. You know, there was times when my mom did really good, but, you know, I just didn't want, like, as I got older, especially in high school, I didn't, you know, there were some, what do you call it, stigmas on just because you didn't have any money, especially growing up where I grew up. You know, there's these stigmas like that are on you because you don't have this money that everybody else has, even in your own family. And so, you know, I set out to chase money instead of passions. And I was very successful at chasing money, like, and doing good at my job. But man, I would flame out so fast 'cause I just couldn't stand the BS.
Right.
It goes back to that logic thing I was talking about earlier and trying to rationalize, you know, how people do certain things. And maybe that's where we end it. Use astrology
As
or
a tool
don't.
for self-reflection, yeah, or don't.
Or do the stoic nature. You know, look, astrology's been around a long time.
Right.
And I think there's some misconceptions both ways.
True.
So just be like the X-Files and say the truth is out there somewhere.
Right.
Is that accurate on the whistle?
I'm gonna say
I think
yeah,
the
'cause
tune was pretty close.
I'm gonna say so, because I can't do any better.
Well, stay cool and positive and groovy and cosmic. And we appreciate Jamya stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
And then I'll finish this boat later. We'll see y'all. Good night. See ya, geek. I appreciate you stopping by. We'll see you later, bud.
Bye.